What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer doing the tech profile for Buster Blader and some gameplay video at the end. This is a really weird deck list, like, make no mistake, but I wanted to get rid of Dragoon because the hand size just isn't great. There's a lot of trap cards in the deck, not really worth anything discarding, and it doesn't work well with the Dogmatika stuff. So I wanted to, like, maximize Dogmatika the best I could because it's a really good engine. And yeah, this is basically what I came up with. So you do have a lot of hand traps, and I guess I'll just try to like put them here up at the front so it's a little easier to kind of comprehend, I suppose. There's like some Drolls in here, some Ashes, lots of hand traps, lots of disruption, and I think that's just about it. But so 3 Nibiru, 3 Imperm, 3 Droll and Lockbird, and 3 Ash. Like, these are your like bread and butter, kind of stopping your opponent from doing stuff. Nibiru's really high impact. I know this is a weird card, but it seems to work out for the best, honestly. Imperm, it's a decent target for Trap Trick. That's kind of one of the reasons I have it in there. Droll and Lockbird's just a kind of a genuinely good card, or generally, it's that genuinely. And then the 3 Ash Blossom, I feel like everybody plays Ash Blossom. It's probably the most played card in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Next is the Dogmatika stuff, and I'm really happy about where the Dogmatika stuff is, like, at this very moment, because I feel like it works so much better than it did before. But the 1 Fleur, the 1 Maximus, the 3 Ecclesia, this card becomes a lot better, like, through the engine that I have versus Dragoon, versus some other stuff that I experimented with. You just want to be able to freely special summon this card, because it's not going to get you this. A normal summon of this does not get you your Buster Lock, unfortunately, right? So you got to find other ways to do that. And yeah, so you'll see in the gameplay videos kind of where that comes in, but you know, for the Buster stuff, pretty standard, obviously. Buster Whelp of the Destruction Sword, it searches the most important card in the deck, and then 2 Buster Bladers. I hope there's new support that comes out for Buster Blader, honestly, but yeah, you could play the original, but this card's like half decent, because if you destroy a monster, you get to equip it, which could be good in and of itself. I think Eldritch is like base. Like, I was just trying to think of, because it'd obviously be very good. No, it works out. So if you don't have a boosted Eldritch and it's in attack position, I know that's a really niche thing, but it could come up. And versus the other Buster stuff, which just gives you attack boost, which isn't all that great. Okay, and I do run Rokket stuff, as you can see here. Now, the reason behind this is this gets you to an Omni Negate before you commit to your plays. Although the 5th summon technically is Borreload Savage Dragon, but it's okay. If they don't have that, it basically just gives you an additional negate, or at least it baits out some sort of negate. More than anything, it gets a dragon in the graveyard easier than any other engine in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty much, because you normal summon Rocket Tracer and you go into Striker, boom, you've just met the conditions for the Buster Lock, which is the most important thing. And obviously you have a lot of access. Now there's some really, really cool stuff, like actually some amazing things. So if you had Quick Launch, Buster Whelp, and Ecclesia, you're getting all 3 of your engines going at the same time. Because the thing is with Rocket Tracer, and when I first thought about this, I was like, oh geez, you know, when you use its effect to, you know, special summon from the deck, oh shoot, you know, right, like you can only summon dark monsters. But no, it's only from the extra deck that you can summon dark monsters. So if you go through your plays, you activate Quick Launch, you go through to go into Borreload Savage Dragon, you can then normal summon Buster Whelp because you haven't used your normal summon yet, and then you can still special summon Ecclesia because there will be a Borreload Savage Dragon on the field. So you know, if you have, that's pretty much all I can think of. Now, if you have Rocket Tracer in your hand and Buster, like, it's a little unfortunate because you only have 1 normal summon, but at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. Like I said, like, the way that it works, and I just explained it, that's obviously one of the most optimized ways that you can kind of do this deck. The Dear Servant's only at 2. Of course, you're going to play 2 of those. Called by the Grave, Boot Sector Launch, obviously, is like part of that little combo. It's unfortunate it's a little bit of a brick, but sometimes it's not, because if you have like Boot Sector plus Tracer and Buster Whelp, which has come up before for me, you at least don't have to use your normal summon. You can still go through the Borreload Savage Dragon line and then have the normal summon. So it's just so. I do run 2 Ice Dragon's Prison as another target for Trap Trick in case you already have a copy of this. I think that's super important in deck building, that you have alternate ways. Like, even though this is technically an additional copy of this, like if you already have one, you don't want to search out another one, right? And that's kind of how it works out there. You do have to. I do run 2 Destruction Sword Memories. I almost never go through the Buster Lock twice, so I'm kind of teetering back and forth. But Here's the real problem. Like, and you kind of have to play 2 of these, because if you were to only play 1 of each, right? 1 Buster and 1 Destruction Sword Memories. If you draw either one of those, your Buster Lock is dead. So it's almost too risky. It's almost like, all right, well, hopefully I can get this off twice. Is kind of like how I think about it. And, 3 Prologue, of course, this is the most important card in the deck. 3 Trap Trick, and then the 1 Punishment, in case you can only normal summon Ecclesia, at least you have a target. And it's also, like, searchable later in the game. It's not too bad. The extra deck is super duper tight, unfortunately, but it does kind of work out, for the best. 2 of the Buster Blade or the Dragon, just destroy your Swordsman. I also run Titanclad, of course, in the Dogmatic engine. Alder Entity Nis is part of that. Warlord Savage Dragon. If you don't understand what I've been talking about before, you'll see in just a second. But Buster Dragon, of course. Wind Pegasus Attic Nister. It's a decent target. Number 97 Dragublian. And Hope Harbinger, along with number 100, because these are actually both rank 8s, which is kind of hilarious. This is also a rank 8. There's too many rank 8s in this deck for you not to play. These are also rank 8s, so you need a little bit of a rank 8 engine. And I think you'll see one where I go into Hope Harbinger and it wins me the duel. Farajit also can send back these memories. It can send back the Destruction Swordsman. You have a few bricks in this deck that you would love to tuck back, and that's what makes the Dogmatic engine so important. And then I do run Secure Gardna, Salmagrade Almirage, and Striker Dragon. The cool thing is that you can normal summon the Buster Whelp and go into Striker Dragon, because it just requires a level 4 lower dragon, so that comes up every once in a while. But the reason I run Salmagrade Almirage and Secure Gardna, number 1, Salmagrade Almirage is a really, 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 really good target in this deck, because Destruction Swords, it protects it from destruction. So when this says it has to be destroyed at the end of the next turn, you can actually protect it for 1 more turn, which could end up being the difference between the game. But more importantly, if you open up one of your hand traps, you can normal summon it and go into Almirage, go into Secure Gardna, so that your Maximus is online. That's also super important interaction. Onto the side token collectors, just a little too good right now. I feel like you kind of have to play it. Lightning Storm, Cosmic Cyclone, Dimensional Barrier, and my favorite card in this deck is the Anti-Spell Fragrance. You're only going to set it when you're going in first. You only play a handful of spell cards, and it pretty much just secures your victory, because that's one of the only outs to the Buster Lock is through really intense spell and trap removal. Or spell removal, I should say. So this kind of gets around that. It's really nice. Also, a lot of people just play spell cards, so if they can't make their plays at all, they're not making their plays. Okay, so we'll go over the replays here. I have quite a few. I'm trying to think of one of the best ones. This one's fine. This is actually a really long duel. It was absolutely wild. Okay, so he's going to go through his plays. I'm hoping that I can activate Nibiru. That's why I held the Ash. Although I don't even know if Ashing... when you're playing a pure Cyber deck, I don't think Lady Debug is really the best Ash target. Now, when you're playing Salamangreat, sure, that's fine. And here you go. You're seeing that interaction right here. I'm going to go through basically all of my Borreload Savage plays as fast as possible. He plays a ton of traps, so this was a match. I'll show the full match here. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to go into this. Fine. So luckily, more than anything, I've just eaten this interruption. I still have a dragon in the graveyard. And then he also had Solemn Judgment. This is where Ice Dragon's Prison really shines, obviously, because this card's insane against it, because it's only playing Cyber. So I have pretty much free reign to banish anything that I want from the deck, or from his field, and it's non-targeting as well. He's going to go into Access Code Talker. I think he's going to attempt to bring back the Heat Soul. That's when I'm going to go ahead and activate this to banish those. No Access Code Talker. Actually, does he play Update Jammer? That's I can't think of a worse mistake, actually. When you're playing a Cyber deck and you have Access Code Talker, I'm not going to let him to get in for a bunch of attack. Obviously, there's no defense points for Link Monster, so it's going to be very easy to get over. Of course, the last card in hand was Ash, although I guess he did have 2 Ash Blossoms. So I'm going to be fighting for my life a little bit here. I just need to attack directly. It has the Anti-Spell Fragrance, which doesn't really do anything against me. It's something that I play. And look at these top decks, man. Buster Blader and Memories. The two bricks of the deck that you don't want to see, I have now just drawing them back to back here. He's got the Anti-Spell, he's got the Solemn Judgment, so he has some pretty solid stuff. Anti-Spell is obviously, again, it's just a redundant thing, but Solemn Judgment comes down, so I don't have access to my Destruction Swordsman, which is super unfortunate. He's coming down to it, though. He's going to have to top deck something, and he ends up top decking a Crackdown, which sucks so bad. If it was literally anything else, I think I would have been in a much better spot. So he's going to be able to take this, but I did finally top deck a Prologue. And he's going to attempt to go into his place here. That's going to prompt me to go into Prologue. Prologue can go ahead and banish. And finally, I have the Buster Lock to kind of finish this out. You've seen all three of my engines here, or at least try to. And the Buster Lock is insane because it doesn't negate the effects. It just prevents them from happening. So if he goes into Access Code Talker is going to be negated. It's just not going to be a thing. He just simply cannot activate anything when it comes to Access Code Talker or any of his Link monsters. And that's what's so important about the Buster Lock too, by the way. Because there's a lot of... It switches all monsters into defense position. So you'd think, oh, geez, you know... only monsters and dragon monsters in defense position can activate effects, but no. Everything turns into a dragon, and nothing can activate their effects on your opponent's side, which is so important. Nibiru, obviously, is just pretty much killer against this deck. It does still have the Imperm and the Solemn Strike, though, and a Droll, which is really good. Okay, so he draws into a Nibiru, which may come up, although looking at this hand, probably not. I'd have to open, like, a Rocket Tracer. A Prologue, unfortunate, or not a Prologue. The Memories comes down. That's super, super, super unfortunate. I do get rid of the Solemn Strike, though. That's a really good kind of one-for-one. I'm going to hold the Ecclesia. I want to use the Effect of Search here afterwards. He doesn't get anything. I'm going to go ahead and normal summon the Rocket Tracer, go through my plays, and I can still use Ecclesia at the end of this, assuming everything goes through. It's unfortunate that the 5th summon is the Borreload Savage Dragon, so it's a little bit wonky. So I'm going to go into Borreload. He's going to go ahead and activate Nibiru, meaning that Ecclesia is unfortunately now offline. So I'm just going to have to wait a little bit, but I can use Fairy tuck back the Memories, which is kind of nice. I draw into an Ecclesia, which is kind of not funny, but yeah, I guess ironic. But that's okay. I still have Ice Dragon's Prison too, so I have a pretty decent form of removal, and he has to be able to get over something pretty big here. But I don't think he's going to be able to. This special summons itself from the graveyard, so I go ahead and get rid of 2 birds with 1 stone. The Manhunt's going to be pretty important for the token here, so this is not going to be the end of the game like I thought it was going to be. But he can't attack with it, so it's not that big of a deal. I'll go ahead and normal summon, grab the Dogmatika Punishment, and he does go ahead and scoop there. Alright, so we'll go over everything else now. This is that base deck. And this is, like, I don't even get into the Buster Lock, but it's cool that you have, like, independent engines in this deck, or at least the way that I play it, that you can actually do something with it. He's playing Punk. I mean, this is just, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! The deck. I mean, and I think that's what a lot of people are sick of. Yeah, this is Beast, as people call it. Jeez. Such a silly name. But it does stand, I think it always does stand for something. In any case, you know, this is pretty cool. Called by the Grave comes down. Dogmatika Punishment. Ecclesia have a Borreload Savage Dragon. He does have a Crossout Designator for the small world. Where I'm like, if you really want it that bad, if you want to go -2 just from Ash, like, that's fine by me. I still have a lot of disruption here. He does normal summon the Zayamin. He tries to go for basically the Rite of Amicia. I'll just go ahead and negate that. So again, really independent there, and was able to do a lot of really cool stuff. We'll do this Ice Jade, because this is actually a really strange duel. And look at this opening hand. How great is this? I'm going to go ahead and activate this and be able to tuck at least one of the Buster Bladers back into the deck. I top deck the Boot Sector launch. Pretty much can't get worse than this. So I'm starting from rock bottom here. I do have an Ash and Imperm, though, and I'm going to have another form of disruption when it comes to Fleur. So all in all, you know, considering how bad my opening hand looked, I'd say this is okay. And this is really where Wind Pegasus out Ignister like shines, because with Field Barrier, because this field spell is absolutely insane, but it does shuffle it back into the deck, which is really crazy. I'm going to go ahead and destroy this Ice Barrier, which is kind of funny. Is this an... Oh, I didn't know there was a card just called Ice Barrier. That's actually hilarious. I can't... Okay. See, this is confusing to me. So I end up normal summoning Buster Blader, which is kind of funny, in my opinion. It's actually kind of hilarious. But it says you can target one of those destroyed monsters. Okay, once per turn, you can send one monster card you control that is equipped to this card to the graveyard. Destroy a monster your opponent controls with the same type. Should I not be able to activate its effect? It like wasn't letting me. Maybe maybe it's something horribly wrong that I just don't understand. But yeah, it wouldn't let me activate that effect, which kind of sucks. But I do go into number 38, Hope Harbinger. So I have a lot of protection here, which is going to be really nice. This thing only reduces attack, so if I keep this in defense position, I'm actually quite okay. And then there we go. So that means he's not going to be able to activate the field spell for the rest of the duel. So you can activate new field spells, so it just gets shuffled back into the deck, and I'm pretty sure he realizes that there's nothing he can do at that point. And this is actually counts as a spell card, so I actually grabbed that, which is really funny. And then I can get another prologue. I'm starting to take over the duel a little bit here. Borload Savage Dragon kind of would put me over the top. He tries to activate this. Again, like, I'm not worried because now, like, these two in tandem are, like, lethal because they have to set them and then they can only activate them. So if they draw a spell off the top, well, you can just keep negating over and over again. They'd have to have, like, multiple spells in hand to get through this loop, which is kind of good, I guess. Okay, this is Crusadia. This is a pretty decent hand. Okay, so you're going to see me go here, and then I'm going to go ahead and go into Almirage. So you hear Gardena. This is where all that loop comes in. I'm going to go ahead and grab all three of these, and now that I have Anti-Spell Fragrance, I'm less worried about Lightning Storm or Harpy's Feather Dust or anything like that. And this is like this hand is insane. He opens up 3 Kaijus, which is truly unfortunate, honestly. That kind of sucks. But he doesn't know I'm playing Buster at this point, and since the Kaiju is on the board, I'm just going to go ahead and activate this now because it's not like he can tribute one of these again. He's going to attempt to go into Equimax. I'm going to go ahead and negate the effects of that. He tries to go to the end phase. I'm going to destroy this and send Elder. Elder's going to pop that, and that's just by far the end of the duel, right? Because I actually could have gone into Jugublian. Jugublian, which is a funny word, but yeah. I think I already maybe had close enough to lethal. I guess it would have been pretty close, but yeah. This is against Trains. And a little bit of a really... It seems like an awkward hand, but like I said, those hand traps are play starters. Not that you want to use your hand traps like that, but in this case, it was a bit of an emergency. And the Buster Lock is just more important than Ash Blossom. It's obviously much more high impact. It's a massive